So guys, today we'll be discussing about one of the main important concept of construction project management, that is project performance measurement. So I'll be explaining to you very few brief introduction I'll be giving to you in the first stage, and I'll be explaining to you a few points. So that will be helpful for you to properly understand the concepts of construction management. Okay. So in between, if you have any questions or any queries, if you have, you can always put it in the chat box. Okay. I'll quickly share my screen. And I hope it's visible. Okay. So guys, our today's topic is project performance management, tracking and reporting. As you all know, we'll be having appraisals, right? So what is the purpose of appraisals in our companies? So basically, this appraisal will give you a clear idea about how we are performing in our particular construction company or in our particular industry. Same like that, this performance measurement or performance management is a platform that give you a clear idea about how this construction industry works. For example, if you are working in an infra project or if you are working in a residential villa construction, this will give you a clear idea about the track of the progress. So that is actually a crucial part in the success of every construction project. So in today's session, we will learn about those concepts, like what are the different methods that is available for measuring the performance, then how can we mitigate the risk, and what is the process of tracking the performance or tracking the progress, then how we will be preparing the reports, like the communication plans, etc. So all those concepts that we'll try to cover in today's session. Okay, so these are the basic agenda for our session. So first we'll be explaining to you what is project performance management, a brief introduction. Then we will learn the triple constraints or the iron triangle of project management, then the project life cycle. So later on, we will learn about the key performance indicators, like how can we track the performance? What are the parameters that we need to check? So that is known as key performance indicators. Then after that, we will learn how can we track the performance of a project. Then we will learn the very important process or the methods, that is earned value management and S-curve. Then after that, we will learn how this performance monitoring and reporting happens in construction industry. So we will give you an idea about the communication plan and we'll wind up the session. So this will help you to understand this performance measurements in detail. Okay, so first thing, the introduction part. So as we all know, the construction industry, it is like a very high demanding industry, and this construction project development that involves a numerous parties, various processes are there, and different phases and stages of work. And there will be a huge involvement for the public and private parties as well. So what is the main purpose of all these processes in construction? To make the construction project as a successful one. So the level of success of a construction project will depend heavily on the quality of the respective parties. And there are like different aspects for that. That can be the managerial factors, financial factors are there, the technical aspects are there, and the organizational performance is there. So based upon all these factors, we will say that this project is a successful one and this project is lacking that proper success. So as per PIM book, the definition of project management is, it is a discipline of initiating, planning, executing, controlling, and closing the work of a team to achieve specific goals and meet specific success criteria. So project management is a body that helps in the management of the construction project from the beginning of the construction to the end of the phase. So there are like 5 phases in every project life cycle. So these 5 phases are starting from the initiation phase and ending at the closure phase. So the project management will help you to monitor all these processes together to get a better outcome. So what is performance management then? So we know that for every construction project, there should be a proper outcome. These are like a unique outcome will be available for every construction project. So how can we check the performance? So performance management is the process of creating, implementing, and managing projects that contribute to the performance of an organization and its strategy. So it is basically a platform or a methodology that helps to create a lot of technique, and this will help you to implement lots of method to make the project in a better way. So it is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. So there are like lots of knowledge and tools are required, and this is actually a collaboration of all these activities and the various set of processes to meet the requirement of a particular project. So for every construction project, the outcome or the deliverable will be different. So with respect to the nature of the construction industry, or with respect to the nature of the particular project, there should be a proper outcome, and this performance management will help you to reach to the particular outcome. So it is therefore concerns itself with improving productivity and delivering a better quality service or product, and is aimed at achieving the goals of both the institution and the employee. So as per the client point of view, what he will require, so that input will be converted into output. So using this project performance management methodologies, this will improve the productivity and the quality, and thereby we will be able to deliver a better quality service or product to this client. So that is the main aim of project performance management, to make the project to a successful one by measuring or by tracking the entire performance of the project. And I hope this part is clear, because it is very crucial to understand the concept of performance management. Especially in India, there are like lots of opportunities, and there are like lots of construction industries, but there are like a huge lack of skilled person or skilled engineers. So if we know the concepts of performance management, and if we know the technologies of performance management, it will be really easy for you to understand or you to get into this industry. So that is about the introduction part. Now we will see the triple constraints. So what are the parameters that is available to monitor the performance? So there are like a lot of parameters, and depending upon the industry nature, this parameter will be varying. But especially in construction project, we will look into the major 3 points or the iron triangle of the construction. So these are known as the triple constraints. So constraints are nothing but it is a limiting factor of a project, and that can impact the quality, delivery, and overall success of the project. So based upon the nature of the construction industry, these are mainly classified into 3 categories, or there are like 3 different points or parameters that is available. They are cost, scope, and time. So as we know, that is very important to measure the performance of a project. So where we have to measure it, like what are the parameters that we have to consider? For that, we have the 3 major points, that is cost, scope, and time. And these points are known as the iron triangle or the triple constraints of project. So we will be mainly handling these 3 projects in construction, and once if we can balance all these 3 points, we will say the quality of the product or the quality of the project is top notch. So what is cost? Cost is nothing but the financial constraints of the project, also known as the project budget. So if you are going to do a residential construction or an infra project, there will be a limiting factor that is known as the money, which is one of the major factor. So that is known as the budget of the project or the cost. So that factor we need to consider while tracking the performance. And the second point will be the scope one. So what is scope? Scope is nothing but the task required to fulfill the project's goal. So what are the goals of the project? What are the aims of the particular project? So that is known as scope part. So while doing a construction activity, we need to always focus upon the scope part. Then what is the third part? Time. So what is the meaning of time? The schedule or the duration of the particular construction. So we will be having a limiting period of time, and there will be a fixed starting date and there will be a fixed ending date. So the schedule or the time period is also a limiting factor. So the overall view of this points is like we need to balance all these 3 points. Like we need to consider the cost, we need to consider the scope, and we need to consider the time in order to get a better outcome for every construction projects. I hope this part is clear, because this is very basic in construction project management. So always keep this point in mind. So these are the factors, or these are the parameters that helps to monitor the performance of a project. That is the cost, scope, time, or we'll say the budget of the project, then the goal of the project and the schedule of the project. And the next will be the project life cycle. We understood that we have 3 parameters to look for the performance measurement and monitoring. And what are the phases of a construction project? So as we have explained in the introduction itself, for a construction project, life cycle can be divided into 5 phases. So the first phase will be the initiation phase, and the last phase will be the closure phase. So initiation is nothing but here we are doing all those initial activities, for example, the tendering activity, the contracting activity, to get a proper idea about the project. So that can be classified under the initiation phase. Then after that, we will go to the planning phase. Here we will get a clear idea about the entire process, like how we are going to execute the particular construction. So after preparing a proper plan, next phase will be what? The execution phase, where we will implement the project. Then after execution, we will go to the monitoring and controlling. So this phase, or the monitoring and controlling phase, will be there throughout the life cycle, and we need the monitoring from the beginning to the end. So that is another phase in construction project life cycle that is known as monitoring and control. So after monitoring and control, or after the successful execution, we will say this is the last phase that is known as the closure phase, where we will be like properly ending the project. So simply we can divide the entire construction project into 5 phases, that is initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closure phase. So here I have mentioned few points. Like as a civil engineer, these are the main parameters that we have to deal with if you are working in these departments. For example, if you are working in the tendering and contracts department, or if you wanted to work in that area, this will be mainly depending upon the first phase, that is a initiation phase. So what are the document that is required? The project charter and project initiation document. This include all those studies, like the survey studies will be there, feasibility studies will be there. So all those studies can be also considered under the initiation phase. So if you are into this area, these are the parameter, or these are the deliverable that is there in this initiation phase. Then what is the next phase? Planning. So if you wanted to become a planning engineer, what are the factors that we need to understand, or what are the deliverables that we need to submit to the stakeholders? This can be the clear scope and budget of the project. Then the work breakdown structure. Then we have the Gantt chart, then the proper communication plan, and the risk management methodology. So if you are into the planning part, that is also a major backbone of the project. So here we are going to define the scope in a proper way, and we are going to fix the budget of the project. Then after fixing the budget, we will prepare a set of activities, and we will divide the entire construction project into different categories, so that we can say in names of work breakdown structure. Simply we are like breaking down the entire construction project into easily dividable steps or methods. Then we will present the output in the form of a Gantt chart, and we will prepare a proper communication plan, which means that how to properly streamline the entire construction process, like to whom we have to connect for one particular activity. Then we will come up with a proper risk management plan. So for every construction project, there are like a set of risk or possibilities that is there. So we will come up with a proper plan. That is, if there is one particular risk happen, how can we mitigate that? So that should be there in the planning phase. And after that, we will go to the execution phase, where all the plan will become to the action phase. So here, what are the deliverables that we have? Main will be the status tracking, because the execution will be happening, that is the construction will be progressing. So we need to track the status, like what is the current status of the project. So that we need to track. And we have the KPIs, that the key performance indicators. Then we need to monitor quality and safety, very important. Then after that, or along with that, we will go to this monitoring and control, which is more into our performance measurement. So here we need to check the quality deliverables, we need to check for the time and cost tracking and the performance. Then after tracking all these parameters, finally the end phase will be there, that is the closure phase. And here we will prepare a punch list and the final documents will be prepared. So this is actually the proper track of a construction project. So if you can see, for every construction project, this is the common way, or this is the common route of every construction project. So now let's learn few factors in this category that is helpful for us, or that is helpful for today's topic, that is performance management. In that, KPI or key performance indicator is the major part. So I hope this is clear. That is, key performance indicator is nothing but these are the quantifiable measurement that shows how well an organization or a team or an individual is performing against a predetermined goal or objective. So basically, in simple words, if we can say that KPIs are a set of quantifiable measures that a company or an industry uses to measure and compare the performance. What are the factors that we can take for comparing or checking the performance of a project? Basically, these are the three factors, that is a constraints, or the triple constraint itself, that is a schedule, budget, and quality. So we need to check the project schedule, we need to check the project budget, and we need to check the project quality. So these are the three parameters that we need to consider while doing the performance measurement. So these parameters can be considered as the key performance indicators for construction projects. This will be clearly depending upon the industry. So for some other industries, it will be different. Depending upon the company, the parameter can be changed. But basically, the main three factors that we need to consider as a key performance indicator is schedule, budget, and quality. So now let's see how can we track it. So I hope this part is clear. I hope you got an idea about what is performance measurement and what is the use of this performance measurement, how this is connected to project management. So we understood the factors, that is the schedule, cost, and time, and how it is related in the performance. I hope that part is also clear. Now let's see how can we track the performance of a project. That is very important, or the methodologies that is available for tracking the performance. So basically, we can divide this entire project performance tracking into three different categories. So the first category will be the preventive category, or prior to the initiation. Like, what are the factors that we have to do before the initiation or during the initiation? Then second part will be the concurrent one, or during the implementation, what are the factors that we have to do? Then the third part will be after or post project evaluation. So the entire performance tracking can be done in three different ways or three different phases. One will be preventive or prior to the initiation. Second will be the concurrent one or project implementation stage. Third will be the reactive or post project evaluation. So now let's see the tracking methods and points in detail. So in preventive category, as you all know, it is better to always check all the parameters initially itself, because this will give you a proper idea about the entire project. So here we have two factors. One will be the selection of the project. Second will be the risk management. Selection of project is nothing but there will be a set of project, or there will be a set of proposal coming to each and every company, and depending upon the company's policy and depending upon the nature of the project, we will choose the right project. So that is the first factor as a civil engineer we need to consider, like choose the right project. So if you are thinking from a profit point of view, there will be multiple projects, that is like, or multiple proposal that is coming to your company, but we can't choose all the projects. In that, we need to sort few projects, only those projects we are thinking that this can be done by our company. So we will be only selecting that project. So that is the first part. And along with that, we have to do what? We have to do the risk management. We have to anticipate the possible risk, and we need to consider the possible risk, and we need to take the possible measurements for that. So that is the first part, or the preventive one. What is the second one? That is concurrent or during the implementation. So here our duty will be high, because as a civil engineer, if you are working in the construction industry, we need to do all these methods or all these technologies or all these applications to check the performance. Mainly we have this PMIS, or the project monitoring information system we have, then we have the project control processes, then we have the earned value management and S curve, then control charts. So all these topics we'll be explaining in detail. Then after that, we have the post-project evaluation. Like after the construction or after this activity, how can we like track it, or how can we get a clear idea? So that is post-project matrices. In the sense, the return of interest we can check, the cost variance we can check, then productivity we can check, what is the actual budget. So all these parameters we can check and we can tell the performance. So if we are having a proper money as an estimated amount, and after completion we'll be getting the actual cost, so the difference will be there. So that is a cost variance. So depending upon the cost variance, we can tell whether their project is a successful one or whether this project lacked that quality. So that parameters is known as the post-project evaluation parameters. So basically, this is nothing but the entire construction project or entire construction phases can be divided into 3 stages, and we can do the performance in this 3 different stages. One will be preventive, another one will be the concurrent one, and the third or the last part will be the reactive part. I hope this is clear. Now let's learn few of these methodologies or few of the activities in detail. So in that, if we are considering preventive, risk management process is very important. So this is actually a wide area, or this is actually a huge topic where there is like a set of activities and a set of information is available. So I would like to give a brief idea about what is risk management is. This is actually a branch of construction management. So in construction management or in project management, risk management is entirely itself as a different area. So what risk management will do? So in this process, we will identify the possible risk, then we will analyze the rate. Like what is the impact of the risk that we can expect? Then after analyzing the rate and impact, then we will go for the control measures. Like there are like different types of risks that is available. Something that can be controlled or something in our hand, or there will be some other risk that we cannot control at all. So we will go for the risk control methodologies accordingly, and finally at the end we will do the evaluation. So this process is collaboratively known as risk management process. So it is nothing but identifying the risk, then analyzing and measuring the risk or the rate of the risk, then we are going to treat and manage the risk. Then finally, we will monitor and review the risk. So this is basically a different branch under construction management, because there are like a lot of processes involved under this risk management. So this will give you a clear idea about the possible risk, and depending upon how we are managing the risk, your performance lies. So if you can properly analyze and monitor the risk, you can definitely improve the performance of the project. Then second will be the project monitoring information systems, or PMIs. Nowadays, there are like loads of software that will do this PMI process. So basically, what is PMI? This is simply nothing but the project monitoring and controlling measures. Like in the construction industry, we know that there will be a lot of activity that will be happening. For example, we will be doing the quality checks. We will be taking the concrete cube for checking the measurement, for checking the characteristic strength of the concrete cube. So once after getting the strength value, if it is not the desired outcome, we will go for some quality parameters, or we will go for some control methodologies. That is actually an example for this quality control. Same like that, in order to check the performance, we have the project monitoring and information system. So this is nothing but it refers to the surveillance and tracking of the project to ensure that all the tasks are completed on time. So how to say the project is performing in a better way? There will be an n number of activities, and there will be a particular duration or limitation for each and every activity. For example, excavation, if you are taking, there will be a start date and there will be an end date, or there will be duration, say 7 days. So that is the scheduled time for that particular activity. So if we are managed to complete the activity within that particular time of period, we can say that this activity performed in a better way. So in PMIS, what we'll do is we will track all these processes in detail, and we will ensure that all of these tasks are completed on the limited time or on the scheduled time. So it is also known as the project monitoring and control activities. As soon as a project starts, so does the project monitoring. This is nothing but this is not another phase. It is like throughout the construction process. From the beginning to the end, when we are starting the project, we need to go for the monitoring activity. Then this monitoring and information system, it works as follows. Like first will be the data collection, second will be analyzing the data, third will be reporting the current process. For example, we can take the concrete cube as an example. So first will be the data collection, in the sense the cube result is an example for data collection. Second thing will be analyzing the data. So we will be analyzing the characteristic strength. We will be comparing it with the specification, whether it is as per the specification or not. So after getting this analysis result, we will properly make it into the form of a report and we will compare to this current process. So that is actually an example for the project monitoring and information system. So the basic steps involved under this PMIS is like, first thing is the collection of data and the process or the structurization of the process. Second thing will be the analysis of the data, and third will be reporting the current process. I hope this part is clear. Then after this, what will be the next thing? We have two other important parameters, that is known as earned value management and S-curve. Very important, and as a civil engineer's point of view, these are the basic information that we need for attending every job interviews, and also especially if you are into project management of domain. Like in order to measure the performance, we have these two methodologies available. One will be the earned value measurement or earned value management method. Second will be the S-curve. There are like a lot of other methodologies available, but the basic one or the major one can be classified under this EVM and the S-curve. So now let's learn this process in detail. First is earned value management. So guys, any idea about earned value management? I hope you can type in the chat box. Anyone, any idea about earned value management? Okay, so earned value management is nothing but it is for measuring the project performance and progress. Like in order to measure the performance of a project, we are using one method that is known as earned value management. So this is a method that helps to measure the project performance. So here what we will do is we will integrate or we will measure all the three triple constraints. Why? Because we already learned that in order to measure the performance of a project, we need to consider those three factors. That is scope, cost, and schedule. So here what we will do is we will measure these three factors, and after that we will assess the performance. So we will first consider the scope, cost, and schedule, and we will check the performance of these factors with respect to the assumed one or with respect to the proposed one. Then based on these three measures, we will prepare a cost baseline schedule, and that is developed and actual performance is compared with the baseline schedule. So baseline schedule is nothing but it is a fixed project timeline that does not allow for variance. So for every construction project, as we all know, if you are doing the survey activity, we have a benchmark, right? So based upon the benchmark, like we will do the entire survey process. So for the benchmark, we will be having a standard reduced level. Same like that in construction management or in construction project, we have a benchmark or we have a fixed project schedule that is known as the baseline schedule. So first what we'll do is we will measure scope, cost, and schedule, and based upon that, we will prepare a cost baseline schedule. So this schedule will become a reference for our project, and we will do the comparison of all the activities with respect to this cost baseline schedule. So keep this point in mind that this is nothing but it is a fixed project timeline that does not allow for variance. So we will prepare a cost baseline schedule and we will check the activities according to that, whether our activities exceeding the budget, whether our activities exceeding the timeline, whether this is as per the schedule or not. So that is what is known as earned value management. We can use softwares also, like Primavera software is available where we are doing this earned value management in software itself, or else we can directly do this calculation manually. So I hope this part is clear, because in order to monitor or in order to track the project performance, this is an important factor, that is the earned value management. So now let's see the major parameters of earned value management or the terminologies of earned value management. So these are the terminologies of earned value management, that is planned value, earned value, actual cost, schedule variance, cost variance, schedule performance index, then cost performance index, then critical ratio. So I'll help you to explain this process in detail, but in order to understand earned value management, you have to practice a lot. Okay, so I'll give you a brief idea, or I'll give you a clear picture of this earned value management and how this has happened in construction industry. So better if you get a chance to learn this process, please learn it, because this is very important if you are into project management. So now let's see these factors in detail. First one will be the planned value. So from the name itself, it is clear. So what is planned value? Planned value is nothing but it is an authorized budget assigned to work to be completed for an activity or WBS component. This is the agreed budget for an activity. So planned value is nothing but the money or the budget that we agreed upon for individual activity. So that is known as planned value. Then next will be the budget at completion. So the overall planned value or the overall amount for the construction is known as BAC, that is budget at completion. Then in order to get the planned value, we have an equation. So there will be a percentage completion for planned value. So if we can multiply the planned percentage complete to this budgeted completion, we will get the planned value. For example, if we are doing the villa construction and if the budget at completion is say 10 lakhs, and if you are in midway, say 50% of the progress has been completed. So how to check the plan value? Just multiply this 50% with the 10 lakh and you will be getting the planned value. Okay, so this is known as the planned value. Then next is actual cost. So what is actual cost? The overall cost incurred for the actual work accomplished. So if we are into a construction and if the budget is, or if the actual money for the completion of the construction is say 20 lakhs, that is considered as the actual cost of completion. Then next will be the earned value, very important. So the work or the worth of work accomplished to date is referred to as earned value. Like till this date, what is the worth of, or what is the money that is used for completing the activity? So that is known as earned value. So these are the three main parameters. One is the planned value, second will be the actual cost, and third will be the earned value. So guys, please keep this point in mind. In order to understand the performance of a project, we need to consider these three factors. One is planned value or the authorized or the agreed budget of the project. Second will be the earned value, that is the work accomplished till date. And the next will be the actual cost or the work completed or the actual work that is completed. So in order to get the earned value, we can directly multiply the completed work percentage into budgeted completion. So if we can multiply planned percentage to budgeted completion, we will get the planned value. And if we can multiply percentage of finished work into budgeted completion, we will get the earned value. So that is the difference between these two factors, that is known as planned value and earned value. So after getting these two parameters, we have some equations to follow. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are like practicing some methodologies for tracking the progress of a project, right? So how can we track the progress of a project? We can track the progress with respect to time, with respect to money, with respect to the scope or goal of the project. So in order to do that, we are like following or we are practicing a method that is known as earned value management. So here we are like considering the planned money or the estimated money, the actual cost that is accomplished, then the percentage of completion as well. So we will consider all these factors and we will find out whether the project is on a right track or not. So here we can use these equations. So just keep this point in mind, schedule variance. So what is the meaning of schedule? Like the time duration. So schedule variance is nothing but it is a difference between earned value and planned value. We know that earned value is the work accomplished to date, but the planned value will be different. This will be as per the estimate. So if there is a difference between the earned value and planned value, and that difference will give you the schedule variance, how your project timeline or the duration variance is there. Then second will be cost variance. That is the difference between earned value and actual cost. For example, you planned 5 lakhs for the completion till the midway, but actually it happened and this amount that is occurred is 7 lakhs. So the remaining 2 lakhs is considered as the cost variance. So cost variance is nothing but it is a difference between EV and actual cost. Then next is 2 other parameters that will give you the performance indicators. That is schedule performance index and cost performance index. For that, we have 2 equations. SPI or schedule performance index is the ratio between earned value and planned value, and cost performance index is the ratio between earned value and actual cost. So if you are getting a value, say 1 or 1.2 for schedule performance index, if the value is greater than 1, we can say that your project is ahead of schedule. If the value is less than 1, we will say that your project is behind of the schedule. And in the case of cost performance index, if the value is greater than 1, we will say this is like ahead of the budget or out of budget. Or if it is less than 1, we will say it is like under the budget. So in order to make this points or in order to give this point to a better view, we have a graph here. So here we can see that there are X graph that indicates the time and Y graph that indicates the cost. And we have different curves in different colors, and this is mentioned, or the red curve indicates the actual cost that is happened as per the time, and the green one is there, and we have one more that is for the earned value. So we have a graph for earned value, we have a graph for planned value, and we have the graph for actual cost. So as a civil engineer, how we will be doing this process in site or in the construction industry is like, we will first prepare a timeline and we will first mention the cumulative cost. For example, if it is a 20 lakh project, initially the money will be 0. Then later on this money or the cost or the expense will be increasing, and we will track this expense with respect to the time. So here we can see that at the end, this is the actual cost and this is the estimated completion. Like it was a 20 lakh project, but at the end, the money is say 25 lakhs. So that is known as the estimated completion. And here, this was the planned value. Like you planned for 20 lakhs and budgeted completion is say 20 lakhs itself. But definitely there will be difference from the actual money or the actual estimate and the budgeted one. And this is known as variance at completion. And this difference is known as the project performance delay. So here in x-axis, it will give you the delay, because here we can see that this date, for example, today, if this is like today is the proposed date for the completion, but it actually completed on this particular day. So definitely there is a delay. So this will give you the right track on the schedule. Like this will indicate whether there is any delay in the project or not. And here we can see 2 other factors here. So I'll mark 1 second. So here, as you can see, there are like 2 points, EAC and BAC. This is the cost for EAC point, or this is the actual cost, or this is the budgeted one. So if we can get the difference between EAC and BAC, definitely this is the cost variance. So from the graph itself, it is clear. We are getting a cost variance and we are getting a schedule variance. So here we can tell that your project is performing in such a way that there is a particular delay in the project and there is a particular variance, or there is a particular change or the difference in the cost. So what is the track of it? For that, we have 2 indexes, like how this performance is happening. That is SPA and CPA. So if the SPA value is greater than 1, we can say that this is like ahead of schedule. And if the SPA value is less than 1, we can say that it is like behind of schedule. Same like that in CPA. If the value is greater than 1, this is like out of budget. Less than 1 means like under the budget. So this will give you a clear idea or clear picture about the project performance. And next is the critical ratio. So critical ratio is nothing but the multiplication factor or the multiplication value of these 2 factors. For example, if you are getting 0.5 for SPA and 0.2 for CPA, we can directly multiply 0.5 and 0.2 and we will be getting the CR value. So for a healthy project, the CR value ranges from 0.9 to 1.2. So how can we say this is a good project or this is a better performing project. If we are getting the CR value between 0.2 and 1.9 and 1.2, we can say this is a healthy project. So simply using mathematical calculation, we are understanding the performance of the project, or we are tracking the performance of the project. So I hope this is clear. So this is one methodology that we will use in construction industry to check the performance of a project. Okay, so the next one will be what? S-curve. So S-curve is also another part that we, or another methodology that we are using for monitoring the project performance. So from the name itself, it is clear. S-curve is nothing but it is a curve in S shape, or simply we can say it is a sinusoidal curve. So an S curve is helpful in monitoring project success because the real-time cumulative data of various project elements on it can be compared with the project data. Then you can examine the degree of alignment between two graphs to track the project. See, it is very easy. Like we have x-axis and we have y-axis. In the x-axis, we will plot the timeline, and in the y-axis, we will plot the factors like the cost, quantity, man-hours, etc. Then we will prepare a graph, like we will plot the time duration along with the cost, and we will be getting two graphs. One will be the planned one, and one will, or the baseline, one will be the actual one. So as we have explained, first we will be preparing a proper baseline, and with respect to that, we will start the project. But definitely due to various factors, there will be variation, and this variation can be mentioned or mentioned in a separate way. So this difference will give you a clear idea about how your project is performing according to the cost, according to the quantity, and according to the man hours. So that will give you the proper productivity or proper performance measure. So here we can see two different color graphs or S curves. One is in green color, that is a planned one. Another one will be the actual process. So definitely if you are checking the data date or cutoff date, because this monitoring process will be continuously happening from the initial part to the end of the part, and in between, for example, at the end of the financial month, we are checking this monitoring part, or we are checking the variance part. So if this is the data date or this is the cutoff date, we can see this is the planned value for my particular project, but this is the actual progress of my project. So definitely there is a difference, or that difference is known as variance, and this will give you a performance evaluation. So in order to evaluate a performance, we have two methods. One is the earned value method, and second one will be the S-curve. So I hope it is clear. And next is the project performance reporting. So we have learned basics of the performance management. We understood what is performance management. How can we track the performance management? What are the methods that we are using to track the performance management? For that, we learned earned value management is there, S-curve is there. The next will be how to report it in a proper way. Like how can we do it? Or how can we properly communicate this information to the stakeholders? Because why we are doing all this activity? One factor will be to understand the performance. Second thing will be there are like a lot of parties who will be involved in the project. So if you are doing a government project, there will be public sector, or the government body is also the stakeholder, because we need to transfer all the information to them. So for that, we have a proper set of documents that we need to submit. And now we'll learn how we'll do this project performance reporting. So reporting is nothing but it is collecting the entire information of the performance data. Then we'll be properly communicating to this stakeholder about the progress of the project, and we will utilize the entire resources that is available, and we will forecast the future progress and status. So a report is nothing but it is used for communicating entire information of the project to the stakeholder, and this will give you utilization of the entire resource, and this will give you or this a forecasting picture or the future picture of the project progress and the status. So they are typically done in tabular or graphical format, that may be text based, visual based, something it can be in the form of charts, graphs and tables, or most often combination of both. So guys, nowadays we are like using a lot of softwares for that. Like we have Power BI software. This is also a data visualization software. So initially we didn't had enough resources to showcase the output. So we were like preparing a set of documents
we will be taking the hard copy and we will be like communicating the information to the stakeholders. But nowadays we have a set of softwares that is available. Power BI is an example for that. So this will give you, or this will help you to make the project in a better way, or make the data visualization in the better way. So we can like properly collect the entire data and we can prepare in lots of different format, like something will be text based or sometimes it will be visual based in the form of charts, graphs and etc. And we can communicate the information in a better way. So these days the demand of these softwares are of in high range. So we will see what is this performance reporting in details on the type of performance reports that is available. So there are a set of reports that is available, and this report include these factors like the analysis of past performance. Like we will analyze the performance with respect to the scope, time and cost, and we will collect in the form of a report. Then we will collect the summary of changes that is approved in the reporting period, because due to the actual condition there should be a lot of situation that we need to do the change activities. So we will collect the summary of that and we will mention it there. Then the current status of risk and issues. What is the current status of the risk? Because in the initial stage we will be doing the risk management, and what is the current status of it? What is the track of it? So that also we will include in the reports. Then we will prepare the results of variance analysis. We understood that there is like schedule performance variance is there, cost performance variance is there, and we will check those results as well. Then next will be work completed during the reported period. So there will be two factors. One will be work to be completed as per the plan. One will be the actual work completed. We need to mention both. Then after that, we will be including the forecasted project completion. What is the forecasted outcome, or what is the forecasted outcome date of the completion? Then other relevant information to be reviewed and asked by the stakeholder. So depending upon the company's profile or depending upon the stakeholder's nature, they will be asking a set of other information as well. So we will include all those points in detail. So a project reporting is also a skill for a civil engineer. Okay, so there are like a lot of softwares are used, for example, Power BI. And also there are like a different types of document that is available. So as a civil engineer, we need to understand the different types of documents or project performance reports. So let's see the reports in detail. They are like status reports, progress reports, forecasting reports are there, trend reports are there, variance reports are there, and earned value reports are there. So let's see these reports in detail. Why? Because this is also an important part. So tracking the performance and monitoring the performance is not enough. We need to properly showcase that data to the communication plan or communication team or the stakeholders. For that, we need to prepare the proper reports. So these are the different types of reports that is available. So the first report is known as status reports. So from the name, I hope it is clear. Status report is nothing but this gives the current state, whether the project is progressing or whether the project having any lag. So that will give you the current stage or current state of the project. So that is known as the status report. So this kind of report describes where the project stands at the moment with respect to the performance measurement baseline. We know that there will be a baseline, and with respect to the baseline, what is the current progress or what is the current status of the project? So that is known as status report. So with the help of this report, the project managers can also get the current snapshot of the project with respect to the scope, time and cost and quality parameters. So if we are preparing the status report, for example, we can take the construction of a villa as an example. So the construction of villa is there. We are checking the monitoring, or we are doing the monitoring, for example, this month itself, and we will understand this is the actual state of the project. So as per the baseline, we will compare whether it is lagging or whether it is leading. What is the state of the cost? What is the state of the schedule? So this will give you, the project manager, a clear picture of the current status. So that report is known as status report. Second report is known as progress report. Progress report is nothing but just like the progress card that we'll getting while we are like studying in schools and colleges. This type of report describes what has been accomplished since and last report. So this report will be periodically submit to the stakeholders. This can be daily progress report, monthly reports are there. So this progress report will help you to understand how your project is progressing with respect to the previous one. So that report is known as progress report. And another report is known as forecasting report. So this is nothing but this report states what is expected to happen on the project, predicting future performance. So forecasting is nothing but the future prediction of the project, how your project will be performing in the future. So this helps in tracking and allocation of resources for better utilization. So if you are understanding the future performance, we can utilize the resources wisely. That report is known as forecasting report. Then we have more reports like trend report. So what is the meaning of trend report? This report shows a comparison between the current performance of the project and the last performance, like how this trend is increasing, whether it is increasing or whether the graph is rising or whether the graph is falling. For example, performance could be compared monthly, quarterly, semi-annually or annually. So we will compare with the previous performance and we will tell the communicators or tell the stakeholders that this is the current state of the project. So that is known as the trend report. This type of report examines the project performance over time to see if it is improving or degrading. So this is more like a graph. So whether the graph is increasing or whether the graph is decreasing. So that is known as trend report. Next we have variance report. So from the name it is clear, variance is nothing but the difference or the comparison between the planned one and actual one. So as per the data, we understood that this is the planned budget, say 2 lakhs, but this is the actual progress that has been made, say 3 lakhs. So that difference is known as variance, and this can be based on the cost, quality, time, etc. And this report will be produced, and that report is known as variance report. And next we have earned value report. As per the earned value management, the report of earned value management can be classified under earned value report. So this report integrates a project performance on scope, schedule, and cost measures using earned value management techniques. So the components of report are often merged into status report. So we will be mainly considering scope, time, and cost, and we will give you a clear information about it, like what is the current progress, what is the current status with respect to the time and with respect to the cost. And this report is in the form of earned value reports. So these are the different types of reports that is available. So as a performance management professional or as a project management professional, these are the reports that you have to be handled. This can be status reports, progress reports, forecasting reports. Then we have trend reports. Then we have variance report and earned value reports. So these are the different type of reports. For example, if you are working in the industry and if you're working as a project manager, you can expect these types of reports in future if you're working as a project management professional. So it is very important to understand the difference between these different types of reports. The next or the last part is the communication plan. So we were like explaining the performance methods, like we were explained what is performance management, the triple constraints, the key performance indicators, how can we indicate or how can we measure the progress of these points, how can we track the progress, then after tracking, how to prepare a proper report, what are the different types of reports that is available we learned, and why we are creating all this information. So how to properly channel this information to a third party. So that is known as project communication plan. Very important. So project communication plan is nothing but it is an agreement between a collaborator and stakeholder that outlines what, when, and how the information will be shared at key interval. There are a lot of different types of information that is available. Sometimes it will be related to this financial aspect, something will be related to the technical aspect, something will be related to the schedule one. So we cannot share all the information to everybody. So depending upon the stakeholder nature and depending upon the data that is required from the stakeholder side, we will prepare a proper communication plan. So this is basically an agreement between the collaborator or the person who is doing the activity. For example, the project management consultancy itself and the stakeholders. And this will give you a clear idea about what information that we are sharing, when we are sharing the information, and how we are sharing the information. And the information like the status updates, task related questions, and meeting details should be included in the written guide. Then the goal of this communication plan is to define and streamline team communication as much as possible, because in construction industry, communication plays an important role. There are like a different people. Some people will be the technical people, some will be the politicians, some will be related to this financial part, and some will be related to the human resource activities, some will be the unskilled persons as well. So depending upon the nature of the category, we need to sort the communication. So for some person, so if you are working as a project manager, you have to interact with the unskilled person, and you have to interact with the major stakeholders. So there will be a difference while communicating with the unskilled person and with the major stakeholders. So depending upon the nature, we need to channel a proper information criteria. So there should be a proper flow or proper communication channel. For example, if you are working in this industry, you're working as a civil engineer or you're working as a site engineer, in order to get the drawing, to whom you have to connect, in order to get the materials or in order to get the resources, to which party you have to contact. So that is known as a proper communication channel. So we have to establish a proper communication plan at the very beginning stage itself. So a proper project management communication plan identify how important information will be communicated to stakeholders throughout the project. So imagine you are doing the entire activity. You did the entire performance measurement, you did the entire tracker, you updated all the trackers, but still you are like failing to communicate this information to the stakeholder. So then the end result will be less. Why? Because for a stakeholder point of view, he needs the outcome. He is the one who will be inputting money. So he is the one who is required the outcome from your side. So if you can properly communicate the entire information to that party, that will give you a rise in your profile. So this will identify how important information will be communicated to stakeholder throughout the project. So it also determines who will be receiving the communication and how these people will receive it, when they will receive it, and how often they should expect to receive the information. For example, daily progress report, to whom we are submitting it. What are the information that is available in the daily progress report? Then after submitting the daily progress report, then what will be the next stage? To whom we have to connect? Then we have to submit the next daily progress report. So all this information will be properly communicated. Else what will happen? There will be a lot of disputes because we don't know to whom we have to connect for one particular services. So we need to arrange a proper communication plan. So if we can arrange till this, we can say we are like properly doing the performance measurement. I hope this part is clear. I'll give you an overall view of this performance management again. Like this is nothing but this is a process of creating, implementing and managing projects that contribute to the performance of an organization and its strategy. Rather than focusing on the task execution, project performance management is about to the big picture. In the sense, it is not like we are like simply completing the task as per the time. We need to consider a lot of other factors like the cost, the other financial aspects, other technical aspects, and other the socio-economical aspects. So this is not like focusing the task on as per the execution or focusing the task as per the time. This is like a bigger picture. All 5 components of processes like from planning to the rewarding state work together and support each other, resulting in natural effective performance management. So we have learned there are like different phases in construction performance management, and there are like different phases in project life cycle from the initiation to the closure. So from a performance point of view, or for tracking the performance or for properly monitoring performance, we need to track the entire processes in detail, like from the initiation to the closure. So I hope this portion is clear. So this is basically will give you a clear idea or a clear picture about project performance management. So I'll brief you the entire topic. So first we learned about what is project management, then what is the importance of projects management in construction industry. Then we learned about project performance management. Then we learned about what is project performance management, why we are doing the performance management, and what is the purpose of this project performance management. Then next we learned the triple constraint, like what are the factors that we need to do while doing this performance monitoring and controlling. For that, we learn the triple constraints like the cost, scope, and time. Then after that, we learn how these factors are connected to the performance. Then we learn the project life cycle, the different phases of a project life cycle, and what are the deliverables as a civil engineer you need to provide during these phases. Then after that, we learned about the KPIs, like the key performance indicators. How can we check the performance? Like, what are the factors? Because we know we need to track the performance, but we don't know which are the factors that we need to consider. So depending upon the industry nature, this factor will be vary, but mainly in construction industry, these three factors that we will consider the most. That is the schedule, budget, and quality. Then after that, how to track it, how to track the performance. We learned there are like different phases, pre, post, and during the implementation, and we learned these processes in detail. Like in that, we learned risk management process, what is the importance of risk management, then what are the phases that is involved in risk management, and after that we learned about this project monitoring information system, that is PMI, that is nothing but project monitoring and control. Then we learned about earned value management. What is earned value management? Then why we are using the earned value management? Then how can we get the track of the project using this method? What are the terminologies that is involved? We learned. Then after that, we learned the basic equations and basic diagram or graph of the earned value management. Then we learned another factor that we'll consider, that is known as the S-curve or sinusoidal curve of. Here we will be comparing the baseline with the actual one. Then after that, we learned how this reporting activity works. Like what are the different types of reports that is available? What are the components that we have to include while preparing a report? So we learned different types of project performance reports. This can be the status reports, this can be progress reports, this can be forecasting reports, and trend reports are there, variance reports are there, earned value reports are there. So depending upon the requirement from the stakeholder, we will choose which report we have to produce. So we learned the difference between the different types of reports. Then after that, the proper communication plan. What is the importance of communication in construction management? So we learned the importance of communication in construction management and importance of communication plan. So that is nothing but that is a streamline of the communication channel to whom we have to connect for one particular activity. So I hope this part is clear. So if you have any doubts, you can ask. So this is basically a brief portion under construction management. There are like different areas. So I tried to explain this performance manage in a brief way. So thank you all. Thank you for attending the session.